Hello, welcome to Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder, and today I'm really excited to be joined by an emerging artist that I'm particularly excited about, Nolen Sellwood. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm Nolen Sellwood.
And Nolen is going to treat us with a performance of the opening track from the record Cadence to the Flame, which we'll be focusing on throughout our conversation. That opening track is called State of Being, and Nolen will be performing that about halfway through the episode. Something that Dave Pegg has said about the record is nice stuff, very Nick Drakey, and I like it. And Nick Pegg should know. What is Nick Drakey? Dave Pegg was a multi-instrumentalist, but primarily bass.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not too familiar on him. I just know that in terms of someone trying to do justice to the Nick Drake style, he's one of the people that you should, connect with. And I was very happy that he enjoyed it and could see the Nick Drake style. I don't want to say
it's based on Brighter Later. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and he played bass in Fairport Convention, and after Five Leaves Left.
Yeah.
Nick Drake is a favorite artist of mine too, by the way. I discovered Nick Drake when I was a student at Cambridge, which of course Nick Drake also was. Whenever he's referencing rivers and so on, like I'd go down to the river cam and I'd listen to this and walk around the same.
It's like that's what he's talking about. Probably.
Yeah, it was really. He was a big influence on me as a songwriter too. But Dave Pegg hasn't recognized the connection and celebrated it in my instance. It's in the Americana Highways review, which is a really rich review of the record. It's specifically early Nick Drake that's referenced. The relevant passage there is, most songs are spare, but it makes them personal, warm, and meditative, as early Drake tunes were. Now, for me, the transition from your first record to this second record is in some ways, I think, analogous to the transition from Five Leaves Left to Brighter Later, where with Brighter Later, the producer Joe Boyd brings in all of these other instrumentalists, including Dave Pegg. And it seems to me like you perhaps have had a similar experience working with John Wright and Steve Leto.
Steve Leto. Yeah. They've been the driving forces for getting this album to be as amazing as it is. Because John plays bass on both my albums, and Steve plays guitar and all of the other instruments that you hear. He's the one who has put in the time and the effort to put them in and get them right. Some of them, obviously, we can't get every instrument under the sun, so he does a lot of work in like virtual instruments and getting everything good. But Steve me and him spent a lot of time in his home studio, just listening and experimenting with what would work for each song and what would be the best for each song.
You, in the bio that I read, you were sharing about your experience of working with John and sharing that you were kind of struck by how much he truly understood what you wanted to do and the effort with John and Steve, it sounds, that was put into helping you craft these studio versions of these songs. And we do end up with strings, we have keys, we have trumpet.
Yeah, my roommate in college that I've known since elementary school plays trumpet, and we were just like, you should come into the studio and play some trumpet parts, because we play live. Me, Sam Hovda, and Owen Reinhardt Nash, who does percussion and bass with me live. We were like, listen, we could get you in the studio and just experiment with whatever, especially on Banjo Song, one of the songs in the album. Me and him, he didn't know what he was going to play that day. I didn't know what I wanted him to play that day. It was just a matter of going in and just play for like an hour, and we'll figure it out. And we did, and it ended up being really good.
Yeah, I love all of the instrumentation on Banjo Song So when I could just see that was one of the titles of the songs, I was expecting a banjo, but I wasn't expecting a trumpet.
Yeah, it's banjo and trumpet, and
It really works, doesn't it? On that particular song.
A lot of people, like I had one review say, when people think of banjos, they think of ding ding dong ding 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 dong, but it's like Sufjan Stevens is a great example of being able to do banjo in a soft, folky, Nick Drakey way, and it absolutely it's beautiful when you do it like that.
A couple of the lyrics in Banjo's song are, "You don't know how amazing we can be, and you have no idea how ethereal we can be." Am I hearing that correctly? Mm-hmm. Could you expand a little on the focus there on how amazing we can be, how ethereal we can be, and how that connects, if at all, to the way in which this music sounds?
Oh no. Obviously, a lot of them are love songs, and it's, I am a hopeless romantic, so I can't help but think of just a lot of the songs in State of Being. I reference, it's State of Being and Forthcome. It's and Banjo Song is just being comfortable in yourself and being comfortable in being able to open yourself to being loved with others.
Yeah.
And to others.
I love the focus, how that's grounded in these everyday contexts. So specifically, sit with me and we'll talk maybe something about cooking or your future. And that really grounds this idea of being comfortable in the state of being. It turns it from being an abstract notion to here we are, comfortably being in conversation.
Yeah, you don't have to try to change the world to just find comfort and love in someone that you think is really special to you. So it could just be talking about cooking or anything that could bridge you two together.
And often it's more likely to be in talking about something like cooking than in philosophizing about being. Philosophizing about being and being and being comfortable in this state of being don't always go hand in hand. So I love that, and it has a similar vibe, I think, to, it makes me think of One of These Things First, like the Nick Drake song, insofar as, what we're discussing is cooking or the other person's future. Do you see the connection?
One of these things first. I don't think about it in the moment, but obviously all of Nick Drake's stuff has catapulted my inspiration for wanting to make music. And I feel like he felt the same way. I mean, he was he's very sensitive. He was, I feel like me and him have the same sort of understanding on our music, in that it's sort of scary to record and release this kind of music into the world. It's very
vulnerable.
Yes, yeah. It's very exposing and vulnerable, and especially to the people that you know. Like, if you don't know how people are going to react. One of the reasons why I was sort of surprised when I came into the studio one day with John, and I played the songs, and he was really adamant about wanting to get it recorded and finding it to be really good, is that I don't have that many people in my, during high school was when all this was happening, and I couldn't go to any of my peers with my music at that time. I've found, Sam Hovdo and Ryan Nash, the people that I play with, and a lot of my close friends now, they understand, but, I'd have people be like, yo, what rap songs do you like? And I'm like, Nick Drake. And he was like, you like Drake? And I'm like, Nick Drake, no. So people, I couldn't, I don't know. For me, it was really hard to expose the music that I liked to my peers.
Yes, because as already established, the music, like a central message in the songs, is about allowing oneself to be comfortable in the state of being, to show up, to be able to be seen, and for there to be able to be connection. And we have warranted trepidation about sharing something as intimate as this. Let's have the performance now, so that then, as we continue to talk about the music, the viewers have a nice slice of the intimate vulnerability in action. So, without any further ado, here's Nolen Sellwood performing the opening track from the record Cadence to the Flame. It's called State of Being, here live in the MCN6 TV studio.
Don't you try to capture the night. You won't succeed in that fight. And oh, look, the turtle doves coming up from above. And true friendship is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. It's like being comfortable in this state of being. And in your voice, hearing you say we should hang out again another day. Now come gently into my arms. I trust you won't damage any of the furniture. Just sit with me and we'll talk. Maybe something about cooking or your future. An entrapment within your thoughts can only take you so far. But hear me out, I know you'll come around. So take me along on your ride, for you have come so high. And true friendship is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. As like being comfortable in this state of being. And in your voice, hearing you say we should hang out again another day. Now come gently into my heart. I trust you won't damage any of the furniture. We'll take a walk out at midnight, and in the darkness it'll lead you into the light.
Well done, that you've shifted back into your
So
chair.
good.
Am I hearing correctly that it opens with "Don't you try to capture the night, you won't succeed in that fight," and then it closes with "We'll take a walk out at midnight, and in the darkness it'll lead you out to the light"?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so could you expand a bit on the light imagery there? Don't try to capture the night, and then walking out into the night being what leads us to the light.
Well, it's obviously the dichotomy between darkness and light is a very common theme in a lot of music. But it's you're becoming content in what isn't you, and like you feel like you're sheltering yourself off in this darkness, and you hold on to that, and you prevent the light from coming in and changing you for the better. But sometimes you don't know that at first. But then we circle back to that theme after, we opening yourself up, having a connection with someone else, and then being able to feel comfortable in experiencing that darkness, but doing it in a way that you will find yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does make sense.
But it's just a lot of things that I've experienced in my life that I find myself doing a lot, where I've had moments where I've completely changed myself to try to conform to what I feel like is best. Just because I want friends, I want to feel valued. But that will always end badly, because then I'll forget what is most important to myself. And I struggle with that in my high school days. But after high school was getting done with and I was going to college, and started making this music and people started understanding it, I was like, there is something to me that should be valued with no sort of screen changing what is that is me.
Absolutely.
So it's just very intricate and interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even saying that I consciously make the lyrics. It's more, I do the chords, and then I just let the song happen after playing it for I'll play the song for nonstop for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then type down whatever words come to my mind, and then just piece them together, and that's the song.
That makes me think of forthcome to this song. Is there a connection there? What does it mean to forthcome to this song?
I'm not even sure if it's a word, but like forthcoming, don't be afraid to let yourself experience the good things in life, because sometimes we often feel like we don't deserve it. So that's another one where it's open yourself up to being loved. Open up yourself to you being able to love yourself as well. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those songs have those themes.
They do. Candles ends with, I never thought it would be this hard to love you with all my heart, which is a really interesting recognition, given how consistently these songs are kind of bearing witness to the value of opening oneself up to light and love, and participating in that. True friendship is something that's reflected on in State of Being. And it seems like, although on the one hand, we can lose ourselves when we try to conform, say, oh, okay, my favorite rap song is this. Alternatively, we can also find oneself more fully in right relationship with the true friend. So, is that something that rings true?
Another lyric in Candles that reflects this is like candles and how they burn.
Yeah.
Which is a sort of reference to a Viktor Frankl quote.
Oh. Viktor Frankl.
That which gives light must endure burning. Which is, you have to be willing to sacrifice in order to give true light.
Mm-hmm.
So, loving someone is hard. Being able to open up yourself up to criticism and the possibility of heartbreak is hard. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be worth it. It's always going to be worth it to make that step, to give light.
Yep. To find love in things we can't fathom. also in Candles. So even though Candles is acknowledging it's hard,
It's hard,
also,
and you may not always see it, and you may not always see the results immediately, but it's faith, and it's faith that you're doing the right thing for the right reason, and that you giving the light will always be a good thing. So that's the thing that I've talked to. I go to the University of Minnesota Duluth, and I'm a psychology major. I know, but I've talked to a lot of psychology faculty, and we have same themes pop up, and I find it really, really impactful.
What are some of
those
these
themes.
particular themes that come up in study of psychology and in the content of
Well,
the
like
songs?
I have a particular professor that I talk to, who's a little older, and we've ended up just talking about it. Like, I would go to his office hours, and then we wouldn't even talk about class. We would just talk about love and what it is to love and the art of being loved. And it's, it's hard. Being able to open up yourself up to being loved is hard because of the possibility of it going wrong. And a lot of people have experienced that and shut themselves off. And it's like, I'm not going to risk hurting again.
Well, and at the same so there's a type of hurting that you choose, but it's part of the package deal of being open to love and in loving relationship with oneself and others.
Something
but
as
the
a
hurting that comes from being closed off
yeah.
is what you won't allow yourself to experience.
Like, if you think about it, something as amazing as experiencing real love has to come at a risk. It can't just be, you can't just do it and then nothing will ever go wrong. But that's just the risk that we have to take. We have to be courageous.
We've been talking about light in relation to love. And just before we move on from this phase of the conversation, I wonder whether you can expand on what Forthcombe has to say about the sublimity of light. Knowing the light is a reference to having studied it for some time. It is so sublime. And for me, it's not coincidental that then there's a beautiful instrumental section. Because if something is sublime, by definition, it kind of goes beyond words. It's not easy to communicate about. But do you have any thoughts about the sublimity of light, having studied, what does it mean to have studied light for some time? And maybe the significance of just suddenly there are no vocals after that statement.
One thing that I think about when I think of what it is to truly love someone is you get a glimpse into their best possible self. You get a glimpse on everything that they could be. I believe that's another lyric. That's referenced in another song. But you want to spend all of your life trying to make each other become the best versions of themselves, of them, and they try to make you the best person that you can be. So it's like, I can see the light within you, and it's like, even you can't see it, but I can, and I will do everything in my power to make that light become a reality. And it's the most frustrating thing when they can't see it. So a lot of the songs, when that's referencing, just, the light is there, and I can see you doing so many great things, even when you can't.
Have faith in yourself. I have faith in you. Join me in having faith in you. Mask is such an interesting song, both sonically and lyrically. We have electric guitar in the song Mask, which kind of pulls it in a kind of non-Nick Drakey direction. And it ends with "I just want to disappear into your love," which is so clear. But the central lyric regarding mask is the mask of existence. We have some trumpet, I think. Yeah. Never claims us as one of its own. And that seems to be an important phrase as well. What does it mean for the mask of existence to never claim us as one of its own?
Existing is the scariest thing to me. I want to have a purpose. I want to make an impact while I'm here, and take all the opportunities that I can. But I have to figure out what that impact needs to be and what it is to exist as me.
It's difficult to be comfortable in the state of being.
Yes.
Otherwise, one wouldn't need to write a song.
Yes. So, see, they all comes around.
Yeah.
Life doesn't be like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. You have to challenge yourself and experiment with what it is to be comfortable in your state of being. So that's kind of what that song was referencing.
Yeah, the difficulty again. I just want to disappear into your love, and it is hard to love a person with all one's heart. Back to Candles again. And we're oscillating between those two. Yes, it's hard, and I want it. And it's hard, and I want it.
That's life. You conflicting emotions and conflicting ideas that's just what it is to be alive and to think.
The next 3 songs after Mask all, I think, they all oscillate in a way that it relates to what we were just discussing and what you were just recognizing about life. So, in When the Moon Sang, there's a particular time, that's when the moon sang, that the moon sang. One of the lyrics is, that's when the moon sang. And on the one hand, the moon was everlasting in my room. So there's something everlasting about the moon, and it's in my particular room, perhaps at all times. And still, there is, even though I am to be here within the day, it must be that place and that time when the moon sang. There's a specific reference to that place and that time. So what is this song communicating in relation to things being everlasting? The moon is everlasting in my room. And then the specificity of space and time. This is particular space and time when the moon sang.
This song was more or less supposed to be probably one of the more vague songs. It's supposed to be, you interpret it your own. That what I love about a lot of songs is interpreting things, and Nick Drake's Pink Moon is like a clear example of that, where it's, Pink Moon's gonna get you all, and it's like, you don't really know what that means, but you listen to it over and over again, and you bring in your own thoughts and experiences into it, and it clicks for you. So, but for me, that song has been 2 things, mainly just reverting back to, finding beauty in just the regular things with someone, going out and seeing the moon for as it is, and how, you see it all the time, but at one point you'll look at it and
Hear it singing.
Yeah, it'll be the most beautiful thing. And you get that with people. Like, you'll know someone for a long time, and then one day you'll look at them and realize, like, this person has sung into my heart.
You see their light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is everlasting. So there's a lot of, intricate ideas in that one.
and that's reflected in the intricate production and in particular the call and response that's going on there. The guitar's echoed by the strings. Let's focus on the delicate instrumentation, perhaps there, or maybe in Delicata, which is the one song that has no vocals, or anywhere, really. This music sounds delicate, and it is very carefully, all the different instrumentation is beautifully intertwined. Do you have any thoughts on springboarding from what you were just saying about it's very delicate on a conceptual level to how delicate, what does even just the instrumental song being called Delicata?
It's all meant to be very tender. I mean, Steve was absolutely amazing in, there were some things that I didn't even think of that he would do for a song, and that it would be perfect.
Can you give any examples?
Just like a lot of what he would, there were some seashells that would be softly clicking in the background that would just add a little bit of rhythm and a little bit of here and there. And a lot of people, when they listen to this music and they talk to me, they're like, your music is very twinkly, and I'm like, cool. So I just never thought of that.
It's partly the seashell.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be the most delicate thing, like a first kiss, but it's just what fits the music, what fits the vibe for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Humid Rain is a favorite of mine, and there's like the humid rain, you cannot feel it as it touches your skin. I think the idea of things being tender and intricate and demanding of loving attention to me it's like we're going to have to pay loving attention to the moon if we're going to hear it sing, and we're going to have to pay loving attention to the true friend if we're going to see their light.
It's always going to be there.
Yeah,
but it's when you take a step back and look at it
and it's
and
like
understand it.
It's like the humid rain. Oh, it was raining, but I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't paying attention. And there's something else that we wouldn't encounter in Nick Drake, like I was saying, the electric guitar before in Mask. When it touches your skin, then there's the echo, skin, skin, skin. There's lots of things about how Humid Rain sounds, the production, that I think is very intentional and very interesting. Do you have any thoughts on the composition, the trajectory, the production of Humid Rain?
I feel like the progression of how a lot of the beginning starts off very minimally.
Yeah.
But then nearing the end, everything picks up. And we have doubled vocals at a lower octave. Mm-hmm. That's very softly that you can barely even hear unless you're supposed to feel it. So a lot of it was supposed to just be felt, like if you were in the rain.
Yeah.
And a lot of that I attribute to Steve for helping out, sort of figure out how to get that sound to happen. So, it was very intentional for it to be sort of, laid back in the beginning, and then when nearing the end comes, everything builds up and sort of just explodes.
Mm-hmm. So we have the nuance and the subtlety that's like the Humid Rain. And then maybe one interpretation is that if one does have this fine-tuned perception to recognize and connect with, engage with the Humid Rain to the extent, maybe even befriend the Humid Rain. I tell the Humid Rain that I'm having a very hard time in this life, and the Humid Rain doesn't judge me. It's like, when we pay attention, we hear the moon sing. When we pay attention, then we can befriend the humid rain. And then for me, like how it sonically kind of builds up, the fullness that is achieved perhaps through noticing, but not resisting awareness of the subtlety, really paying attention to the humid rain. Had you noticed that connection where we essentially, and does that ring true to you that we kind of can befriend this humid rain and there's almost like a true friendship connection with the humid rain, just like in When the Moon Sang, we can befriend the moon. And
with humid rain, like a lot of people don't like the rain. Obviously you get all wet and soaked.
Uh-huh.
But I think about it like I never wanted to play live. I never wanted to do interviews.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned doing it and just being yourself and being authentic in the things that scare you and that you don't particularly like, you will find a lot of yourself in it. So like I honestly I never even thought about going to college just because I was such a bad student. But then time came around where I had to start thinking about it, and I had to do what I didn't want to do and really focus on my grades, and now go to college and focus on all of these things that I was like, I'll just do whatever. But in that, I have discovered more of myself than in anything else. So befriending the rain that may, give you discomfort, you will be able to find your true self in it.
Yeah. In the visceral sensation showing up and this is the sensation that I'm having is a starting point. And I can see how it would relate to your thoughts on the possibility and the promise of showing up and letting one's light shine in the difficult contexts, analogous to like the rain, in showing up and letting one's light shine in an interview, showing up and letting one's light shine at college, showing up and letting one's light shine in live performance.
What gives light must endure burning. You have to be willing to expose yourself and to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. The same focus on sensations and really kind of paying attention to one's body, noticing through one's sensations that there is humid rain, shows up in Lavender too, which invites us, as we're kind of now nearing the end of our journey through the record, it invites us initially, well, first of all, there is a statement that lavender smells a little off to me.
That is just a true statement. My friends all like to go to candle stores and then smell lavender, like, smell this one. And I'm like, I don't know. It was just not for me. I don't know. So
that's the first of a few statements about lavender that work their way into the song. And then we wind up with lavender smells a little different now, can't you tell? So it's something similar happening here where, we acknowledge what's this sensation, oh, it's humid rain, and then something can occur that wouldn't have occurred had we not felt the sensation. How does lavender smell different?
Lavender, for me, going through the lyrics and making them and how it relates to my own life was just at this time I had already exposed some of my music to my friends, and I had started showing my music, and people started complimenting it and complimenting me, and I felt really uncomfortable. I just feel uncomfortable with, compliments and gratitude towards my stuff. So that's kind of what, it's a little it's not something for me. But then you learn to accept it through hard work and experience in a lot of different things, and you learn to accept the love that you're given. It all comes back to just accepting love that you deserve.
Yeah, one's worthiness. Yeah, I am worthy of love.
That's in the first album, "To Be Saved" is core concept is being worthy to be saved. So those themes pop up in the second album as well.
In the Americana Highways review, it said there's virtually nothing abrasive on this album, and of course we've been talking about the gentleness and the tenderness, and I agree. As much as some music that I like is abrasive, but in Like a Sailor, I feel like it's not abrasive, but there is, and I think this is an artful, intentional thing. I really like what the strings are doing to write that song, and I feel it is wonderfully kind of a little counterintuitive, some of what the strings are doing. Not abrasive, but kind of. Do you? And that might just be me. I mean, I like what the strings are doing, and they're doing something different from what I would expect them to be doing.
That song is meant to, the visual is supposed to be you're in a boat in the middle of the ocean, and when we get to that big instrumental part with like the big band stuff, it's supposed to be you're in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, there we go.
You're in the middle of the storm of your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And the strings are supposed to be like the rain that would come on board to your boat, and just yes, I think you're dead on to where it's sort of, I wouldn't say disruptive, but it's like it's something for you to think about, and then the rest of the instruments come, and that's the storm that's happening.
Yeah, it's not gentle and tender.
No,
It's a relatively gentle.
It's meant to be, impactful.
Yeah.
But then it comes away, and then you come out the other side a better person, and that's what that song is meant to portray.
Yeah, which I think I really like that there are moments, or perhaps just specifically that moment on the record, related to enduring burning, because this sweetness and gentleness that is being savored in the record, I feel like is the fruit of allowing oneself to be in the storm and not to hide in the storm and to feel the rain and so on. So it's not abrasive, but it's the storm, and it sonically really fits, I think.
Yeah, that song, and like for me, especially like if heartbreak or like any kind of loss is, you're stuck in that storm, mentally, and but it does pass, and you become a better person for it. And no matter what love you may have lost, it is always worth it to have loved them. So that's another core thing that I think about when I listen to that track myself.
Mm-hmm. Let's close with focus on the title track, which is also the closing track. And it opens with "and," which is interesting.
I notice I do that a lot. I like to say "and" in my songs, but it's meant to sort of bridge the gap from one song to the other and bridge the ideas.
So the sequencing is significant, is it? From Like a Sailor into Cadence to the Flame?
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're like directly intertwined, but it's a new pathway of sort of thinking between the songs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I suppose going back to the idea of being comfortable in the state of being, moment to moment to moment, remaining present. These moments are all connected, so that's why the and opening with and makes sense. But we need to be. Am I in this? We need to keep on checking in. Am I in this moment, or am I thinking about having been in the state of being? And with cadence to the flame that burns still even now all around. And as I sing my short songs, they are made with the most in mind. Is that right?
Mm.
As I'm here intertwined. It's such a short song, 1 minute 40, and it draws attention to your short songs. And
I figured I'd say it in the song.
own it. And it seems intentional, of course. I mean, it is intentional. That's hence the lyric.
Everything, that song was very intentional.
Yeah.
To be short.
My short songs, they're made with the most in mind. So here's the epitome of a short song. It's 1 minute 40. Yes, it's a short song, and it's made with the most in mind. Given that this is the title track, given that this is the closing track, could you expand a little bit more on making with the most in mind and being intertwined?
It's just being authentic to what's not like. I'm not altering anything about what I like or what I wanted the song to be, or what the entire album to be. It's just, this is me. The album is me. Mm-hmm. No adulterations, no changes to sort of fit any sort of status quo or to get more people to like it. This is me. I'm intertwined, and it's made with the most in mind. It's like it's just me. So yeah, it's basically, and why it's a title track is just it's referencing the entire album of, this is my creation and what it's like to sort of live in the head of me.
Does Cadence to the Flame relate to that Viktor Frankl quote?
Yeah, a lot of like candles and flame and light. And Cadence to the Flame is very much, letting yourself be as authentic as possible, and giving off the light that may not be reciprocated or may not be appreciated, even though it may hurt. Mm-hmm. That very much similar theme.
And then the closing lyric announces, "As I make my last move," which I think is a nice feature.
It's the last song on the album.
Yeah, exactly. It's the last breath. As you're delivering the entirety of that lyric, it's the last breath on this particular record. And so as we arrive at the end of the record and the last breath of the record, obviously you continued making music. You were reflecting on the experience of being at college at the moment and the pleasant surprise, perhaps, of being able to find oneself, letting one's light shine in contexts that were one experienced as trepidation about putting oneself in before the case. How are things evolving now beyond the last breath of Cadence to the Flame? Where are you at?
I love college. I love getting a 9-to-5 job in my degree. But me and some of my band members have talked about it, and we play live shows and we don't make decent money. We make some money, and it's just I have an opportunity. I've been given a lot of resources, especially people who've funded it. Bob McMiniman, I'll never be able to repay him for everything that he has done to help support all of the music. Ken Onstad, April Onstad, and Krista, just getting it out there and supporting it and managing me, because I had no idea how to make music. I had no idea. Even now, I've taken some classical guitar classes and stuff after I made the album. So I never even learned guitar, like formally. I did not know what the music business would be like at all, but me and my band members had talked, and if we have the opportunity to do this for a living, it would be the best existence for us. And that's our current dream. But if not, you never know. I feel like the last lyric of Cadence of the Flame, very much, when I think of those lyrics and when I think about that song, I think of Nick Drake's Pink Moon album, and how he shortly passed away after that, only I think 2 years later, just out of nowhere. And it's been such an endearing time for all my life. I was able to make something that I truly loved to make, and if I don't get to do it again, then that's fine. I had a fantastic time, and that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to die right now and be satisfied in my existence.
Right. Yeah, you have. There is a testament in this record to your light shining bright. And you were talking before about sometimes, I can see in my friend this potential to shine, and one wants the friend to see that and to encourage it, and to know when one has been able to document one's shining lights in a way that can be shared is a very, very meaningful experience to have, isn't it? So I'm glad that has been the fruit for you. That's the main fruit, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Of having made the record. And if this is like your brighter later, insofar as the instrumentation has like...
I got one more.
Yeah! Well, you have at least one more.
Yes.
What I mean is your pink moon is ahead of you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Very much hope so.
Pink.
Pink moon.
And gonna get you all, whatever that means. Pink moon will get us all. But I think it certainly has something to do. It's like a memento mori, and what you've been saying about managing to let one's light shine in a way that one is able to share with others. We can do that before the pink moon gets us. So I'm very glad that that's what you remain committed to. Thank you very much for coming in today. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm looking forward to catching you live when the opportunity presents itself. Thank you very much for coming in, talking with us, and performing in the MCM6 TV studio today, Nolen.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Hey, and I'm Simon Calder. This is Back to the City. We'll be back for a little bit more of this summer season next Thursday if you're watching it live on MCN6 at 10 p.m. And then, again, if you're doing that right now, this episode will be archived on the Back to the City YouTube tomorrow morning if you want to watch it again. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll be back next week.